Hi there, students. To account for something. So we have various different meanings with this. Firstly, to account for, to form the total of. So, for example, housewives account for the vast majority of our sales. They form the total of. A small number of criminals account for the majority of crimes committed in this area. So to account for, to make up, to consist of. Okay, this small mistakes account for the majority of mistakes made. Okay, so to account for, to form a total, to form an amount, and then to account for something, to explain the reason. Can you account for why you were late today? You can't account for why you were late, then you're going to be in trouble. Okay, this, the rain accounted for the cancellation of the picnic. So, to be the reason of, this is a phrasal verb. This something accounts for something. I can't account for the decrease in sales this month. Okay, so to consider or to regard. This can be accounted for as this can be accounted for by the large number of people who came to the event. Okay, so to account for something, to be the reason, to be the cause, to explain something. So people used to think this disease was genetic, but now it's clear that only a small proportion, a small proportion of people of genetics accounts for the reason. So to account for something, to explain, to give the necessary information about something, to explain properly. How do you account for the missing money? How do you explain? If you account for an action or a policy, you take responsibility. You may be held responsible. You're accountable for something. You account for it. If an amount of money has been accounted for in a budget, it's been included. So the extra costs have been accounted for. You could even account for an enemy. You could kill them. 3 goals in the first 5 minutes of the match accounted for our opponents. The enemy accounted for our invasion force in the first few days. Okay, so here in this case, to kill, to destroy, to beat. Okay, so to account for, to give reasons for an event. Can you account for why this happened? Can you account for this fact? Can you account for this situation? Can you explain it? Everybody, after the fire, we spent a long time trying to account for everybody who had been present. Okay, so to account for, to explain, to justify, to rationalize, to give reasons for, to give an explanation for, to interpret, to give a justification for, to make a rationale for, to give grounds for something, to come up with an explanation for something, to prove that something is reasonable. So, to account for. I couldn't account for the silly mistake I made. Okay, cars account for 20% of the carbon dioxide emissions in the country. Okay, they make up that amount. I could not account for the mistake. How do you account for the fact that the number of people unemployed is still rising? I was called to account for my conduct. Okay, gang murders account for most of the murders in this city. I can't account for his unhappiness. Okay, pressure and stress may account for the way that he behaved. Can you account for your movements last night? I was unable to account for the error. If you can't account for the missing funds, then you will be arrested. Exports account for 60% of our business. Okay, I want you to account for the disgraceful way you behaved. I want you to account for your reaction. How can we account for the massive recent growth in population? Small car crashes account for the majority of problems during the rush hour. Immigrants account for 15% of the population of the country. So I guess that's going to be enough. So to account for formality, they account for, they are the reason for. I think I'm going to give it a 6.5 in formality. Use informally, no, use in a semi-formal conversation, semi-formal or formal writing to account for something. And then this word account, it comes from Old French compter, to reckon, from Latin computo, to sum up. So to account for. Enough. If you enjoyed the video, give it a rating, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Account for.